Implement Zero Trust with Entra ID and Intune. In this blog post, implement Zero Trust with Entra ID and Intune for modern work. We will walk through a practical way to reduce risk without turning security into a roadblock. You'll see how Entra ID identity and Intune device management work together to enforce never trust, always verify in everyday sign-ins, app access, and device use. Zero Trust is not one product you buy. It's a strategy that assumes breaches can happen and focuses on limiting impact. Verify identity, check device health, enforce least privilege, and continuously evaluate risk. The goal is to make safe access the default, whether users are in the office, at home, or on a phone on hotel Wi-Fi. What Zero Trust looks like in Microsoft land. For many organizations, the fastest path to Zero Trust is to start with two controls that touch everything: identity and devices. Microsoft Entra ID is the control plane for authentication and access decisions: sign-in, MFA, conditional access, identity protection. Microsoft Intune is the control plane for device configuration and compliance: enrollment, policies, app protection, patch posture signals. Together, they enable the core Zero Trust idea. Access is granted based on real-time signals: who you are, what device you're using, how risky the sign-in looks, what you're trying to access, not just a network location. The technology behind it, simple but accurate. Under the hood, Entra ID issues tokens. Think time-limited passes to apps like Microsoft 365, Azure, and SaaS tools. Conditional access sits in the middle of that flow and can require extra proof: MFA, block access, or demand that the device meets standards. Intune provides those device standards using two related ideas: configuration policies, what you want the device to be, e.g. encryption on, firewall on, password rules. Compliance policies, how you judge the device, e.g. OS version minimum, encryption required. A device is marked compliant or not. Conditional access can then say, you can access payroll only if you sign in with MFA and your device is compliant. That's Zero Trust in action. Identity device policy. A practical Zero Trust rollout plan, phased. A successful rollout is usually incremental. You want early wins, minimal disruption, and measurable uplift. Phase 1. Protect sign-ins. MFA, block legacy auth, baseline conditional access. Phase 2. Trust devices, not locations. Intune enrollment, compliance, require compliant device. Phase 3. Reduce blast radius, least privilege, privileged identity, tighter app access. Phase 4. Continuous improvement, monitoring, tuning, exceptions, automation. Step-by-step implementation. 1. Prepare Entra ID foundations. Before policies, make sure your identity basics are solid. Enable MFA for admins immediately, then for all users. Use modern authentication and plan to block legacy protocols. IMAP, POP, SMTP auth were not required. Use groups to target policies safely. Pilot group first. Have a break glass account, cloud only, strong password stored securely, excluded from conditional access, monitored. 2. Create a conditional access baseline. Conditional access CA is where Zero Trust becomes enforceable policy. Start with a small, sensible set. Require MFA for all users. Exclude break glass and consider excluding service accounts that can't do MFA. Require MFA for risky sign-ins if you're using risk signals. Block legacy authentication to stop easy credential stuffing wins. Roll these out in report-only mode first where possible. Review the impact, then switch to on. 3. Enroll devices into Intune. Choose your path. To use device-based access decisions, devices need to be managed or at least protected. Windows, Entra ID join, or hybrid join. Then Intune enrollment. Autopilot is ideal for new builds. Mac OS, Intune enrollment with compliance configuration profiles. iOS, iPadOS, enrollment with Apple Automated Device Enrollment, best, or user enrollment. Android Enterprise Work Profile, or fully managed devices. If you have BYOD, consider starting with app protection policies, MAM for Outlook, Teams, Office, to protect data without full device control. 4. Define device compliance, what healthy means. Compliance should be meaningful and achievable. A good starter set. Require encryption, BitLocker, File Vault. Require a passcode and set reasonable complexity. Minimum OS version and a maximum grace period for updates. Block jailbroken, rooted devices on mobile. Defender AV healthy where supported in your environment. Keep exceptions rare and time-bound. If a device can't meet compliance, Decide whether the user should use a managed browser or limited web access instead of full desktop apps. 5. Tie it together with conditional access device controls. Once devices are enrolling and reporting compliance, you can enforce device trust. Require compliant device for Microsoft 365 and key SaaS apps. Require approved client app for mobile access. Pairs well with MAM. Session controls. Limit download in browser. Enforce sign-in frequency for high-risk apps. A common pattern is to start with high-impact apps first. Email, SharePoint, OneDrive, finance, HR systems, then expand. 6. Add least privilege for admins and sensitive actions. Zero Trust is also about reducing privilege. Even with perfect MFA, a highly privileged account is a big target. Use role-based access control in Entra ID and Microsoft 365. Separate admin accounts from day-to-day user accounts. Restrict admin portal access to compliant devices and trusted locations. If your licensing and maturity allows, consider time-bound elevation and approval workflows for privileged roles. Example policy set. Starter blueprint. Here's a simple, effective, first-month set you can adapt. CA01. Require MFA for all users. Pilot to all. CA02. Block legacy authentication. Pilot to all. CA03. Require compliant device for Microsoft 365. Start with Exchange SharePoint. CA04. Require MFA for admin roles. Every sign-in require compliant device. INT01. Windows Security Baseline BitLocker. INT02. Mobile app protection for Outlook, Teams for BYOD. Change management tips that keep users on side. Pilot with real users. Include IT, power users, and at least one typical department. Communicate the why. This protects accounts and customer data, not security said so. Provide a self-service path. Clear steps for MFA registration, device enrollment, and support. Use report-only and staged rollouts. Avoid surprises and reduce business disruption. How to measure success. Zero Trust should improve security outcomes you can observe. Track. Percentage of users with MFA registered and enforced. Number of legacy auth sign-ins blocked should trend to 0. Device compliance rate by platform. Sign-in risk events and how quickly they're remediated. App access protected by require compliant device. Common pitfalls and how to avoid them. Overly strict compliance on day 1. Start with essentials, then tighten. Too many conditional access policies. Keep it readable. Document intent. Use naming standards. Forgetting service accounts and automation. Modernize them. Use managed identities where possible and avoid MFA exemptions without a plan. No break glass plan. Always have a tested recovery path. Wrap up. Implementing Zero Trust with Entra ID and Intune is about making smarter access decisions using identity and device signals. Every time, everywhere. Start with sign-in protection, bring devices under management, enforce compliance for key apps, then expand into least privilege and continuous tuning. If you want help tailoring a Zero Trust rollout to your environment, hybrid identity, BYOD, contractors, multiple tenants, or regulated workloads, Cloud Pro can help you plan a phased approach that improves security while keeping users productive. Identify Azure users without MFA using PowerShell. Assigning local admins to Windows 11 through Intune. Create Entra ID dynamic group using extension attribute. Manage Android BYOD with Microsoft Intune. Streamlining Entra ID app registrations with Azure Bicep.